Hello dear students, in this video we are going to study Canto 3rd of the poem Ode to the West Wind composed by P.B. Shelley. In Canto 1st and Canto 2nd we have discussed the effect of west wind upon earth and in the sky. Now we will study the effects, the powers of west wind over the ocean, and in this canto the poet is mentioning the effects of west wind on Mediterranean and Atlantic Ocean. On your screen you can see the text of this poem. Thou who didst waken from his summer dreams, the blue Mediterranean where he lay, lulled by the coil of his crystalline streams, beside a pumic isle in Bay's Bay, and saw in sleep old palaces and towers quivering within the waves' intenser day. Now, in the starting lines of this stanza, the poet begins with the figures of speech as personification, because in this canto he is mentioning the effect of west wind over Mediterranean Sea, and he is personifying Mediterranean Sea as a human being, and he is saying that thou who didst waken from his summer dream, the blue Mediterranean. He is explaining the power, the strength of west wind, and he is saying that you are so powerful. He is invoking, he is addressing west wind that, oh west wind, you are so powerful that you have wakened blue Mediterranean Sea from his summer dreams where he lay. That Mediterranean Sea was once laying calmly, lulled by the coil of his crystalline streams, and the streams of that Mediterranean Sea are so pure and so wide that he compare it with the crystal clear purity. And he is saying that once the Mediterranean Sea, in his summer season, in his summer dreams, he was laying still, but now you have wakened that Mediterranean Sea beside a pumic isle in Bay's Bay. Now this is the location where the Mediterranean Sea is sleeping. Bay's is a resort on the coast of Campania at the western end of the Bay of Naples, and Pumic Isle is that harsh stone which is created by the lava part of that bank of the Mediterranean Sea. So he is saying that the Mediterranean Sea was once lying still with the lullaby of crystal clear streams, but now you have waken up that Mediterranean Sea, and that Mediterranean Sea was once looking in his dreams the old palaces and towers quivering within the waves' intenser day, and those palaces and towers were once shaken by your intense strength and power. Now, in the next lines, he is saying that all overgrown with azure moss and flowers, so sweet the sense faints picturing them. Now again he is mentioning the dreams of Mediterranean Sea, that all overgrown with azure moss and flowers, the palaces, the old towers that Mediterranean Sea was once seeing in his dreams, they were all covered, they were all overgrown with blue colored moss and flowers. And those moss and flowers, now the poet is speaking about the underwater vegetation. He is saying that they were so sweet smelling, they were so fainting, thou for whose path the Atlantic level powers cleave themselves into chasm, while far below the sea blooms and the oozy woods, which were the shapeless foliage of the ocean. Now, from moving to Mediterranean Sea, the poet is again forwarding to Atlantic Ocean, and he is saying, "Thou for whose path the Atlantic's level powers cleave themselves into chasm." Now he is saying that, "O west wind, for giving you the path, Atlantic Ocean has cleaved itself into gulfs, while far below the sea blooms." And before and the underwater level of Atlantic Ocean, there are the sea blooms, there are the oozy woods, there are the vegetation which are shapeless. There is no liquid shape in them, and these are so shapeless foliage of the ocean. They have become so shapeless, thy voice and suddenly grow grey with fear, and tremble and despoil themselves, O hear. Now he is saying that, O wild west wind, listening to your voice, listening to the forthcoming powers of your speed, all the vegetation that were below the water, those OG woods, those shapeless foliage became grey with fear, and they started trembling and they destroyed themselves. Approaching you, seeing you to approach, they grow grey with fear. They became so helpless that their oozy woods, that were the woods that once was uh, dripping one drop by drop, they have become shapeless now. So this is the power of west wind that was mentioned by the P.B. Shelley. This was the power, this was the strength of west wind over the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Ocean. Now, in the next canto, Canto 4, he is imploring west wind to give some power, give some strength to the poet. And the starting lines of this canto is, "If I were a dead leaf, thou mightest bear. If I were a swift cloud, to fly with thee. A wave to pant beneath thy power, and share the impulse of thy strength. Only less free than thou, O uncontrollable. If even I were as in my boyhood, and could be the comrade of thy wanderings over heaven." So the starting three lines of this stanza is, "If I were a dead leaf, thou mightest bear." Now in these lines, the poet is urging west wind that he is writing a conditional sentence, and he is saying that, "Oh, I wish that uh, may I be a dead leaf to which you bear with your might. If I were a swift cloud, I will fly with you. A wave, if I were a wave, to pant beneath thy power," means to go cleaves by your power, "and share the impulse of thy strength." Now the poet is urging that it is my desire that if I were a dead leaf, I would bear your might. If I were a swift cloud, I would fly with you. If I were a wave, I will uh, bear your power, and I would share your desires, your strengths. Only less free than thou, O uncontrollable. Now he is addressing, O west wind, that you are so uncontrollable that if even I were as in my boyhood. Now he is comparing the power and strength of west wind to his boyhood, and he is saying that I were as powerful as you when I was in my boyhood, and could be the comrade of thy wanderings over heaven. And if I would, at that time, my powers and my strength were comparatively similar to you, and at that time, if I would be with you, I will be your comrade in your wanderings over heaven. as then when to outstrip thy sky speed. Now the poet is uh, showing a confidence that if at that time when I was boy, if at that time you would if at the time if I would be your comrade, I would outstrip you, I would outrun your speed. Scarce seemed a vision I would never have striven. But now this vision is insufficient, and now I would never have tried to get involved, get cope with your speed. As thus with thee in prayer, in my sore need, O lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. Now, these three lines are so pathetic. They are showing the pathetic situation, they are showing the melancholy mood of the poet, that he is urging the west wind that, oh, lift me as a wave. Now he is imploring, he is urging west wind that I am in a sore need to you, I am begging you to get me lift, like a wave, like a leaf, and like a cloud, because I fall upon the thorns of life. The poet is so melancholic, the poet is so in melancholic mood that he is saying that now I am so fed up with this life, I am falling upon the thorns of life, I am bearing the cruelties of life, and now I am bleeding. A heavy weight of hours has chained and bowed. Now he is again mentioning his pathetic situation. He is saying that a heavy weight of hours means these years of intense sadness, intense melancholy, these years have chained me and bowed me. But now, in the last line, he is saying that one too like thee. Now, he is remembering his past days, and he is saying that once I was like you. I was so tameless, I was so swift, and I was so proud like you. But now, in my old age, now at the present time, I am so fed up with life. I'm feeling that I am falling upon the thorns of life, and I am bleeding. So I am urging you to lift me as a wave, as a leaf, and as a cloud. So in this canto, the poet is totally in melancholic mood, totally in pessimistic mood. But when we discuss, when we study the forthcoming canto, we would know about the power of optimism. So that's all for today, students.